Here at the Discovery Centre, we use figures and objects to retell the events of Jesus' life. Today is Maundy Thursday. This is the day when Jesus had his Last Supper with his friends and disciples. This is the story I'm going to share with you now. Once, every year, the people of God went up to the city of Jerusalem. They went to celebrate the feast of the Passover. This reminded them of the time when God rescued them from slavery in Egypt and took them through the waters of the Red Sea to the Promised Land. Every year, Jesus went with his friends to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover. However, this year it was different. The disciples talked amongst themselves and they all said to Jesus, "Please don't go. The authorities in Jerusalem want to kill you. It is not safe." But Jesus said, "No, we do this every year, and we shall do it this year as well." So, Jesus led his friends and his disciples from the country where they had been up the long road to Jerusalem. When they were nearly there, Jesus asked two of his friends to go on ahead and look for somewhere to celebrate the feast of the Passover. These two disciples found an upper room. They set the table, a table that was big enough for everyone, with food and wine, so that they could celebrate the feast. When evening was come, Jesus led his friends to the upper room, and they all took their places around the table. There were places for everyone, and no one was left out. During the meal, Jesus used some words that the disciples had never heard before. He took the bread in his hands and he blessed it. He thanked God for it and he broke it. And he said to his disciples, "Take, eat, this is my body, which is given for you." Later in the meal, Jesus took the cup of wine. He blessed it, and he shared it with all of them at the table, saying, "This is my blood, Drink this in remembrance of me." After they had finished the feast, they sang a hymn together. And then Jesus took them into a garden to pray. I wonder how you would have felt if you were one of these disciples. I wonder how the disciples felt later on when Jesus was arrested. I wonder if you've ever had a special meal with your friends or family that you have remembered for a long time afterwards.
Have you ever done something really bad and straight away wished you hadn't? Have you ever said or done something to offend or hurt someone else and regretted it? Most people have felt hurt or angry at some time and tried to make themselves feel better by hurting someone else. Usually, these actions can be put right by talking things through and saying you're sorry, and then everyone learns something about other people's feelings. The bad thing is forgiven and life moves on. Sadly, that doesn't happen for everyone. The bad thing I did was so bad and hurt people I really cared about. Straight away, I knew I had done something terrible, but I never had the chance to put things right or even to say that I was sorry. I should start by telling you that I was one of Jesus' disciples. He chose me, and I was always close to him, one of the 12 who were always in his plans. I loved Jesus, I really did, and I know he loved me. I listened, I learned, I marvelled at the wonderful things he said and did, and I knew that everything was as he said. He was the Son of God, and he had come to save us. I tried my best to do as he asked, and I worked hard at helping others. But you won't read about any of the good things I did in the Bible. When I did the bad thing, the other disciples forgot all the good things I had done, and when they wrote their Gospels, they hardly mentioned me until they came to the bad thing. It was an awful thing to do, and to make it worse, I don't really know why I did it. I was never really a glass half full person, but I always wanted things to be better. I wasn't originally from Galilee like the other disciples, so I always felt a bit of an outsider. They were good friends to me, and we went through a lot together, but they knew and understood one another so well. They didn't exactly leave me out, but I knew I wasn't anyone's first choice as a companion or to share a task. No one was ever unkind, but I felt I had to make an effort to be one of the gang. Except for Jesus, of course. He always showed the world that I was special to him. Then there was achievement. I often felt I wasn't quite as smart as the others. Sometimes I missed the point of what Jesus was saying, and someone would explain and I would feel foolish. I didn't have a good trade like most of the others, so sometimes I was short of money, and that definitely didn't help me to feel good about myself. And then there was Jesus himself. I somehow had the feeling that he wanted me to do the bad thing. He knew me so well, and it seemed as if he put the idea for the bad thing into my head. He knew I wanted him to use his power to put things right where we lived, and to help us get rid of the Romans who ruled our country by force. So that brings us to the bad thing. I thought my plan would make me feel better. The other disciples would see that I was actually helping them, and Jesus would know that I was doing what he wanted me to do. I went to the authorities and offered to take them to Jesus in exchange for a large sum of money. All my worries would be over, the other disciples would respect me, and Jesus would use his powers to put everything right. And I would not actually hurt anyone. I would just greet my Lord with a kiss. That was my bad thing, just a kiss. But as soon as I looked up from his face, I saw the terrible mistake I'd made. I hadn't put anything right. I had done the worst thing I could ever have imagined. And the worst thing for me was that I never had the chance to explain or to say I was sorry and ask to be forgiven. I gave the money back, but I couldn't find any other way to make myself feel better. I haven't told you my name, but you probably worked out who I am soon after I started my story. Everyone associates my name with the bad thing and nothing else, even after more than 2,000 years. Many people are named after the other disciples, but no one would be happy to be named after me. The only time my name is used is to describe someone who has betrayed their friends. I never had a chance to say that I was sorry, but I really hope that Jesus understood and that he forgave me. You can read about what I did in the Gospels written by the other disciples, and you will see that they didn't understand or forgive me. I will finish with a question for you. Will you forgive me?